between ETFs and mutual funds in a humorous way. ETFs. ETFs are like the cool kids in school. They're always trading and moving around, and they're always in the news. They're not afraid to take risks. And they're always looking for the next big thing. They're not for everyone, but they're definitely exciting. One day, an ETF was at a party. It was wearing a button-down shirt and khakis, but it didn't fit in. All the other kids were wearing hoodies and jeans. And they were all talking about how they were investing in bonds. The ETF felt out of place, but it didn't give up. It walked up to a mutual fund and said, "Hey, I'm an ETF. I'm more exciting than you." The mutual fund looked at the ETF and said, "I'm sorry. I don't know what an ETF is." The ETF rolled its eyes and said, "It's like a mutual fund, but it's cooler. I can trade throughout the day, and I have lower fees." The mutual fund looked at the ETF and said, "That sounds interesting. But I'm not sure I'm ready for something that exciting." And then it walked away. The ETF was disappointed, but it didn't give up. It knew that it was different. And it knew that it was special. It just needed to find the right people who would appreciate it. And eventually, it did. Mutual funds. Mutual funds are like the nerds in school. They're not as exciting as the ETFs, but they're more reliable. They're not afraid to do the boring stuff, and they're always looking for the long-term gains. They're not for everyone, but they're definitely a safe bet. One day, a mutual fund was at a restaurant. It was wearing a hoodie and jeans, and it was looking at its phone. A waiter came up to the table and said, "Hey, I'm an ETF. I'm a great investment." The mutual fund looked up at the waiter and said, "I'm not really interested in investing right now." The waiter asked the mutual fund why, and the mutual fund said, "I'm just not sure I'm ready to take that kind of risk." The waiter told the mutual fund that investing doesn't have to be risky, and that ETFs are a great way to get started. The mutual fund smiled and said, "Thanks for the advice. I'll think about it." And then it went back to looking at its phone. Waiter was disappointed, but he didn't give up. He knew that the mutual fund was a good investment, and he knew that it would eventually come around. And eventually, it did. As you can see, ETFs and mutual funds are two very different types of investments. ETFs are more exciting and have lower fees, but they can also be more risky. Mutual funds are more stable and reliable, but they can also be more expensive. The best type of investment for you depends on your individual needs and goals. If you're looking for a low-cost, liquid investment that you can trade throughout the day, then an ETF may be a good option for you. If you're looking for a more stable and reliable investment that you can hold for the long term, then a mutual fund may be a better choice. I hope this helps.